Hello, and welcome to the Kingston Grammar School podcast. With the school motto of work well and be happy ever present in all aspects of the curriculum and co-curriculum, Kingston Grammar School is one of the most successful co-educational schools in the UK. I'm your host, Shannon Delwish, and regardless of how you came to find us, I hope you learn a bit about Kingston Grammar School while you're here. And I know that as one of our listeners, you will quickly start to feel more a part of the inclusive KGS community. We're pleased to welcome you. This is the second episode in our Sport at KGS series. In this 4-part series, we feature former KGS students who continue to excel in their sport at a very high level, as well as current KGS athletes who are doing the school proud.
Hi, my name is Kia. I'm in Year 12 and I currently study Biology, Geography and PE. I started playing hockey when I was 7 years old. I've played other sports as well, including cricket and tennis and netball. Currently, I play for the KGS first team, where we've had quite a lot of success in national tournaments, getting to quarters and semi-finals. I also play for Wimbledon Hockey Club. I currently train with the ladies ones who are in the Premier League, and I excitingly got my debut this year. I also play for the ladies twos who are in the national division. So making a permanent position in the ones will be a really big aim for me next season. I also, this year, got my first selection for England under-18, which I was super happy about. The sports staff at KGS have been immensely helpful, both on and off the pitch. On the pitch, obviously, the standard of coaching has been amazing. They have such good experiences from past playing. For example, Mr. Daly, who's played at the Olympics before. So they all understand what we're going through, both on and off the pitch, with workload and stress about getting selected for areas. When I first started at KGS, playing internationally was a massive dream. I didn't think it would be in reach, but now where I am at the moment, it is quite surreal. Being able to play internationally, playing matches, for example, Belgium, Germany, Holland, which have been great experiences.
This episode features Jack Waller, former KGS student. Jack made his international hockey debut in October of 2018, and since then has been awarded 62 combined Great Britain and England caps. Jack has proudly featured in the 2018 World Cup semifinals, in 2 European championships, and was recognized as the youngest member of the leadership group during the Tokyo 2020 Olympic cycle. Aside from his strong presence on the pitch, Jack demonstrates leadership and personability that make him real role model material, and it's a joy to hear his perspective on things. Hi, Jack. Nice to see you. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hi, Shannon. Great to see you as well. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Tell me what's going on in your life right now.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm actually based out in Belgium at the moment.
And how long have you been out in Belgium for?
For the whole hockey season. So I went out in August of last year after the Olympics. Yeah, it's been really nice, experience a new culture, meet new people, different ideas about playing and sport and exercise. So yeah, it's been a really eye-opening, incredible experience.
Take me back to when you started at KGS. Has hockey always been your thing?
Yeah, massively. I mean, my first memory of hockey was when I was very young, sort of 7 years old. My dad was playing in his vets team, and I was the kid that sort of was playing on the side, sort of creating havoc and knocking the ball on the pitch and really being a nuisance. So hockey's been a really big part of my life from a very early age, and that was really accelerated when I was at KGS.
Tell me about your experience at KGS.
I absolutely loved it. It was really brilliant, and knowing that I've had going to be on this podcast, I've had some time to reflect, and thinking about some of the memories really actually had a big smile on my face.
Oh, nice.
And one thing I've noticed is that a lot of my identity and a lot of my fond memories were through sport and specifically hockey.
So what was the hockey program at KGS like for you? What are your memories?
The stuff I really remember particularly were the national tournaments, and it'd be quite a big thing. You'd come in school in your hockey kit, go off, and
Right.
I remember particularly in our under 16 team, we were supposed to be knocked out by a goal difference, but another school pulled out, and we went back into competition and ended up coming third in nationals. And I think it's something that the whole school recognised, and you really felt quite special amongst your peers.
Yeah, that must have been amazing. You had quite a welcome back.
Yeah, I think that those celebratory moments are all the more special because you're doing it with people you really care about, and you've been through some highs, lows, and in between. So yeah, that really is what makes it special.
Right. I know that there's some mentoring programs that KGS offers the younger students. Did that have an impact on you when you were younger?
Yeah, massively. That was a really big part of my life at the time. And I mean, I don't know whether it happens at a lot of schools, but I assume it's quite unique. We were buddied up with someone when we joined as a year 7 student. We were buddied up with someone in the sixth form, and I just happened to be buddied up with the first team men's captain, and that was really incredible to me. The guy was an absolute legend,
right?
And it was just quite cool that at that age I could see the pathway to the first team and bouncing ideas off him and sort of someone to look up to. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good opportunity. A good way to make school feel a bit more inclusive.
I think actually sport allowed me to connect with people in different years. A lot of the time I was playing with the year aboves, and so you build those connections. But then little amazing moments like, okay, where I live, I got a particular bus, and some of the older ones would get on that, and you sort of talk to people through that. And yeah, I think when you're a younger kid, and some of the older years take an interest in you, I think that's really quite a boost. So that was nice.
Yeah, it's certainly a boost as opposed to a real knock in confidence if the older kids are giving you a hard time, right? It's so much better to have the older kids looking out for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're potentially chatting to Zach Wallace a little bit later, and he might tell some stories otherwise about me and him, but yeah, I don't remember those ones. I'm sure
you would have never given him a hard time, I'm sure.
No, I'm sure he'll corroborate that, yeah.
What do you think kind of sets KGS apart from other schools?
Some of the friendships I forged in those days, I still have today, some of my best mates. So that's really special. I'd also say that the teachers, you got some real characters, and then massively the sport. And I'm definitely going to be biased because it was a big part of my life then and is now. But I think it's undeniable the sort of expertise in the staff, and there's a good emphasis on the co-curricular side and also participation.
And so while you were at KGS, you started your hockey career that is going so well right now. You're in a great place. So yeah, tell me about how that started. I mean, it started before KGS.
To be honest, my dad's played for his whole life, and actually he's sort of late 60s still playing, like a bit of a nutter really, but so it's always been a big part of family life. At the earliest opportunity, he took me along to, I played at the Wimbledon club. I think that became a big factor in my decision to join KGS.
Tell me about the hockey you were playing outside of KGS and how you were supported and encouraged to do so.
While I was at KGS, I was playing for the county team, and then in my latter years, I got into the England 16, so there was an overlap there. Again, I don't know what it's like in other schools, but there was a good amount of support for me. There was no sort of allowance for missing exams or lessons or things like that. And if I was at that age and I had the ability to miss things, potentially I wouldn't have learned some of these skills, which have really set me in good stead going into university and even what I'm doing now.
And I know you had your international debut in 2018.
Yeah, so I went to Durham University and played obviously in the hockey scene there while I was simultaneously playing for the GB under-21s, and a couple of us at the end of that sort of period. So when I graduated from uni, were called into trials for the GB team, and I suppose actually at that point in time, I had aspirations, but I wasn't as to play fully at an international level. But I wasn't really putting all my eggs in one basket. Actually, I went to this sort of trial period and it went well, and I was given my first cap in 2018, and I really, from that moment, I thought I want to give this absolutely everything, and I think it's such a brilliant sport, and it's given me so much, and I'd like as many people as possible to experience that.
That's great. And we'll talk about that in a minute, what you're doing now to kind of get the next generation of players and coaches on board. Tell me a bit about the Hockey World Cup.
Yeah, in India. Yeah, it was a really amazing experience. I mean, I think Zach and I had a very similar pathway in that we trialled, made our debuts in the same match, and then I think it was only a month or two from our debut until the World Cup. So it was something we were training towards, but it always seemed like it wouldn't necessarily become a reality. But yeah, I think we both deserved it, got lucky, maybe just sort of we were a bit ignorant about it all, so we just went out and played and managed to get selected, and it just took it to a whole new level. The crowd in India are absolutely crazy. I mean, I had that experience as a junior in the under-21s, a World Cup in Lucknow, and the Senior World Cup was in Bhubaneswar, and the massive crowds, really passionate about hockey, and it's the first time we were sort of playing on TV and people actually watching, and
wow,
it's actually my first experience of being commented on by sort of like a hockey pundit. So
right,
all these unique first experiences. I mean, it wasn't exactly the most positive comment ever, but I mean, it was nice to be spoken about.
Do you remember what they said? Do you remember what he said?
I think something about me being a bit of a beige player, so I really made an effort that tournament to prove him wrong.
He doesn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Apart from that nasty commentator, what was that experience like?
Just to be playing in those matches, especially when I'd only sort of had a handful of caps, was a really special, proud moment.
That must have been awesome. And so you finish the World Cup.
We actually had 2 Europeans between the World Cup and then the Tokyo Olympics. But
okay,
as we were getting into the real crunch point of approaching the Olympics in early 2020, obviously we had the pandemic, and that threw a lot of stuff into question, and was an interesting time for us as individuals, as a team, for the whole country, for the whole world.
How did it feel to have been selected for the Team GB?
In that moment when we received the email for those that were picked for the GB team, it's just like an overwhelming emotion, and that it was really, really special, and I had a lovely weekend with my family and friends celebrating it. But that's really just the start.
Right.
The important bit is getting to the tournament and delivering, because I don't think you speak to any athlete, no one wants to be the player or the squad selected who go there and then don't perform. So it's an interesting time where you almost feel a sense of a massive sense of excitement and pride, but equally knowing that if you don't deliver when it really matters, then you'll be left with a bit of a bitter feeling. So that was all going through at that time.
So is it kind of an enormous amount of responsibility, did you feel?
Yes, I think my main responsibility I felt was to my teammates and to the people that cared about me. I don't think anyone from my family would say I let them down if I didn't do well, but equally to my teammates, I know the hours and effort that they've all put in, so I want to be able to deliver my best performances so that we can all enjoy the experience together and do well and look back in years to come with pride and realize that we did it together.
How did you play together? How do you feel about how it went, and what did it feel like to be there?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. A lot of our psychological preparation before the games was based around just trying to relax ourselves and say that it's just another game, and almost take the pressure away. But I have to say, before our first game against South Africa, I was really nervous, and I obviously thought in my head I was thinking big stadium, loads of crowd, noise, and I thought that that would give me the the energy, get me into it.
Sure.
And you sort of step out onto the pitch, and there's like five people in the stands, and that's it. So a really strange moment, because it was just such a contrast from what I had sort of envisioned in my head. If I had that opportunity again, I'd love to push to go to another one for sure.
And what's your vision for the future of your hockey career?
One thing I'm really looking to do at the moment is I've set up a hockey coaching company with one of my friends, with the vision of, number one, delivering really excellent coaching, technically, tactically, and really just use a lot of my experiences playing and coaching to pass on to the next generation, but also to offer kids who may not have had the same opportunities as me, going to a brilliant hockey school like KGS or stuff like that, to experience the sport, and whether that's take it on and potentially make a career of it, or play international games or whatever, or just it be a fun pastime that they can continue at university or at school or whatever it is. And so that's really the reason I set up this company, and the company is called Unlock Hockey. Keep your eyes out for it. Do
you have any words of inspiration for students involved with sport currently, or looking to get involved in sport?
It's such a healthy pastime. You meet some really amazing people. You become best friends with them. And so I think I hear certain parents who have aspirations for their son or daughter to make it into the junior international team, and that's brilliant. But for me, it's all about just throwing yourself into it and enjoying it. And whether that is hockey or cricket or football, maybe drama, or I think this co-curricular stuff is so important, and really develops well-rounded people. So I think that would be my message to anyone out there who wants to listen.
And what about setbacks?
I've had many setbacks in different ways, non-selection or injuries and things like that. I don't think that anyone who ends up being very successful at anything had one straight trajectory right to the top of their sport or whatever it is. Ultimately, it's how well you get back from it, which is what defines what you go on to achieve.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jack. It's been so nice talking to you, and I'm excited to see how your hockey camp goes.
Thank you very much for your time, and that was great fun, and really nice to reminisce and reflecting about the school. As I said at the start, there were a lot of moments that made me smile, so that was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Kingston Grammar School podcast. If you're interested in finding out more about the hockey camp offering that Jack spoke about, more details can be found by visiting www.unlockhockey.co.uk. Next week, we welcome KGS alumna Millie Giglio, part of the GB Elite Development Hockey Program. Millie tells us all about her hockey career since leaving KGS, and imparts to listeners the value she places on the balance between work and play. We would like to hear from you. Get in touch to tell us what you're enjoying about the podcast, and join other listeners in suggesting topics which you'd like to learn more about. You can email us at podcast@kgs.org.uk. And there are endless platforms on which you can access this podcast: Spotify, Apple, Acast, Amazon, SoundCloud, or YouTube for starters. So please recommend this podcast to friends and family, as it is so easily accessible to any and everyone. And remind them it's free. Oh, and follow, download, or subscribe to the series, and do take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It takes but a moment, and it makes a huge difference to us because it makes us more visible for those who are searching for us. Special thanks to our guest in this episode, Jack Waller. Thank you also to Allison Williams, Director of Marketing and Admissions at Kingston Grammar School. This has been an Applied Reality production, produced by Shannon Vandermark, sound design by Alex Marcoux, with additional design, mixing, and editing by George Powell.